to jump up, people, are you ready? Windies in the land, just put up your hand.
Hello, everyone, and welcome again to On Tour. It's the cricket program where we look back at the West Indies tour of Bangladesh. It was the first test that climaxed in Chittagong, and what a tremendous victory it was for the West Indies to win by 3 wickets. I'm Barry Wilkinson. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. In 24 hours, West Indies cricket went from tragedy to triumph. The death of Ezra Moseley, the former Barbados and West Indies fast bowler, certainly shook and rocked the cricketing world. And then for Kyle Mears to score an unbeaten double century at least gave someone something to smile about after West Indies cricket was plunged into mourning. Let's look at the scorecard before we get into all of the discussion. Of course, Bangladesh scoring 430 and 223 for 8 declared. The West Indies 259, they avoided the follow-on, and I think that had a lot to do with how things ended up, and then set that victory target of 395. They lost 7 wickets to win by 3 wickets. A fantastic knock on debut from Kyle Mears, the 28-year-old from Barbados. 210 not out in 310 balls, 24s, 7 sixes. And we can't forget the little Jamaican Nkrumah Bonner, who's been knocking on the door for quite some time to get into the test team. 86, a partnership worth 216 for the 4th wicket. Brilliant victory for the West Indies and something to savor in Bangladesh. Well, we've got our star-studded panel, and like we said, yesterday, gentlemen, we woke up to the news after 7 o'clock that Ezra Moseley, a friend, a fantastic gentleman, and a cricketer who should have played much more for the West Indies, but we all know that circumstances dictated why he didn't play as long. But he was indeed a tremendous individual, died yesterday in a traffic accident in Bridgetown, Barbados, and that certainly had everyone feeling quite numb. But Tino, let me start with you. For Kyle Mears to play that kind of innings and for the West Indies to win, I think you were one who was very positive from the onset.
Yeah, good. Good afternoon, everyone. Obviously, I'm still very shocked with the passing of Moses. Condolences to his family. Look, I'm an optimist. As I said yesterday, guys, I believe in this squad. I believe in someone like a Kyle Mears, in Jermaine Blackwood, in Bonner, and I also believe in guys grabbing opportunities. Life is all about grabbing opportunities. Is the old saying about sliding doors. Once that door starts to slide, you've got to run through it, and that is exactly what Kyle Mears did in his first Test match. An opportunity was given to him on debut. My gosh, it was absolutely sizzling. Look, Nkrumah Bonner to point 200 plus in a partnership. It was brilliant as well. There's so many positives to take out of this game, and I just felt that Kyle Mears just batted beautifully to score a double 100 in his 4th innings in the subcontinent. I think is up there with one of the best innings Brian Lara has ever played. That's the honest truth.
Yeah, look, Johnny Barran, we have to point out that Bangladesh do not have that great a record at Chittagong. It's one of the grounds, as a matter of fact, that they don't win a lot of matches on. And this is proven true. We mentioned from the very first day that the pitch has been even. The ball has not been keeping as low as perhaps it would in Dhaka. And really and truly, it was a very good pitch for batting and for bowling. We had a double 100, we had 2 centuries, we had a 5-wicket haul. Everything happened in this test match, and then for the West Indies to win was, the proverbial icing on the cake. Your thoughts on why Bangladesh lost?
It was a fantastic test match, and largely because I think the pitch played fairly well throughout the course of the game. As you quite rightly pointed out, you got a little bit of value with the ball. It continued to turn on the final day, and also you got value with the bat. But for West Indies to record the highest chase ever in Asia, the 5th highest chase in the history of Test cricket, is quite incredible. Only 10 sides in the history of the game have gone into the final day with 3 wickets down and saved the game, let alone going on to win it. It was an extraordinary performance. Absolutely incredible.
Vinode Mamchan, you two were pretty positive about this, but one swallow doesn't make a summer. And you look at the fact that the West Indies can't lose this test series, which is good, first time in a while in an overseas test series. But how can they now build upon this to move into that second test? And your thoughts generally on how this test match went?
Firstly, Barry, I just want to extend condolences to the family of Ezra Moseley. What a fantastic individual he was in my, the couple of times that I interacted with him. It's really sad. But Kyle Myers, I think my friend John Etheridge tweeted this morning that innings by him is probably one of the finest of the 21st century. And I think that is something that should motivate the other West Indian players around him. Kyle Myers showed what positivity leads to. We have been speaking about, being positive. Tino Best has been, leading that campaign here on the show. And the West Indies team could learn so much from this young man going into that second test in Dhaka.
Well, let's give Calmeers his pound of flesh. Let's start from the beginning, Tino. 110 for 3, the West Indies started on, far, far, far away from anything that would have resembled 395. On day 5 of a pitch that probably people would not have given it some credit for. But we'll start when Calmeers got near 50, in the 50th over. He was actually out. He was LBW. The ball would have hit leg stump, but the captain of Bangladesh did not review. And it showed that it would have carried into his leg stump, he would have been given out. Now, these are the things that make cricket. These are little moments that make cricket. Oversighting that, how do you view this innings of 210, besides that and perhaps a couple of flutteries on the way?
Look, Barry, it's very difficult to score runs in Test cricket, Barry. So let alone playing in Bangladesh and to score a double hundred on that surface in Chattogram. It's brilliant. Look, I'm a student of the game, Barry. I've been watching cricket since I was about 6 or 7 years old in memory. And I always had Brian Lara 153 as the greatest innings I've ever seen live and direct, or even following cricket. And this young man's innings has to be the second best after that. Look, a lot of people might say, oh, it's against Bangladesh and stuff. But given West Indies' history in the last 4 or 5 years, this is like beating Australia in 1999. To play in an environment that is conducive for spin, and to play with a depleted team, and we're going to get to that depleted team further in the show, and to bat on debut as well, Barry, has to be one of the finest innings of the 21st century, as Vinod rightfully said. Look, brilliant. I 100 out of 100 if you're scoring on a test. Kyle was absolutely spectacular in the way he put away all the bar balls. And look, he did not even look tired. And when we are talking about fitness as well, he looked fit, he looked good. He did not look gassed at all. So kudos to Ronald Rogers and the training staff as well. And look, I hope that he can build on this. I got a message from a good friend of mine telling me about IPL, and I told the person, look, I don't want this young man to get caught up with 2020 cricket and all this. Test cricket is the ultimate. When you can play 100 tests, you get so much respect from your contemporaries as well all over the world. Playing 100 test matches, playing 50 test matches, playing test cricket is the ultimate of cricket. We're not talking about 2020 where you can get big bucks and so forth, but no one remembers your performances. These are the performances that cricketers live for, and kudos to that young man. Absolutely magnificent.
Johnny Barran, having heard all Tino is saying, we cannot ignore that the IPL auction is coming up, and 210 not out in Asia will guarantee Calmeers a very big buy. And Johnny, I'm not too despondent by what Tino is saying, because there is a window now for IPL cricket. So once he doesn't get too caught up in the other T20 leagues, that could prevent him from playing for the West Indies. But you can't deny, Johnny, that you think this man will indeed get a big contract in IPL this week.
Well, he's got every chance, and actually, I think there's so many positives about this story. One of which, of course, is that he actually scored. I think his 6 sixes is the second highest tally of sixes on debut. Southey was the highest, I think, with 9 against England and Napier in 2008. But there's a lot of really positive stories going around that may make the IPL story slightly secondary, which is that the West Indies Cricket Board is starting to deliver some really big overseas contracts in terms of broadcasting. One with BT Sport over here in the UK for 5 years. There's a big one with ESPN, and those kind of numbers will bring money, valuable money, into the game, with an opportunity of extending those central contracts, of making people's livelihoods a little bit more secure, and also taking a little bit of pressure off the IPL. So it's not all bad, the fact that if he does pick up interest in the IPL. But I think as far as a Test cricket future, he has a tremendous opportunity. And as well, one thing to bear in mind as well is he's a mature young man, isn't he? He's 28 years of age. He's been around the game, a couple of first-class hundreds as well. Brilliant stuff.
All right, we've got to take a break. When we come back, we'll come back with Vinode Mamchan. We are going to discuss a bit about the history of Nkrumah Bonner and Mears. And we also look back, of course, at the victory and what Bangladesh could have done perhaps to win that test. The West Indies winning, well, brings a smile to everyone's face. We'll be back on tour here on Flow Sports.
Windies in the land, just put up your hand. It's time to party. Turn it up to the top. It's time to jump up. People, are you ready? Windies in the land, just put up your hand. It's time.
Welcome back then to On Tour. Again, let's just review the scorecard. The West Indies winning by 3 wickets. A magnificent Test victory led by Kyle Mears and Nkrumah Bonner. And congrats to Craig Brathwaite, of course, the standing captain. At a time when many people didn't want to go Bangladesh, the main captain said no. A number of other cricketers said no. But these men from the Caribbean went, they braved everything, and they did tremendously well. Vinode Mamchan, look, let's put this in perspective. Kirk Edwards did something similar, scored a Test century on debut, fizzed away. We had Adrian Barat scored a Test century on debut, fizzed away for his own purposes and some, of course, religious. The point I'm making is that we would not want to see now Kyle Mears start with 210 and the same thing happens to him. We also must bring into perspective someone like a Carlos Brathwaite. And I'm glad that Ian Bishop didn't say remember the name last night. But generally, the point I want to make is that Kyle Mears needs to build on this now and be consistent rather than perhaps fizz away like perhaps some before him.
Well, the magnitude with what he has done here, he will do well to live up to this on a consistent basis. Barry, he has done something in similar terms to Carlos Brathwaite. But I think he is a very intelligent young man, and I think he'll put it, he will take it in stride. You look at the man, Johnny Barran said just now, he's not any little boy. He's a mature man. He's 28. And I think that, those around him as well, they need to, explain to him and stay with him, let him know that his next innings starts from zero. And, whatever happens, he has shown that he has the obvious ability. And this, I think, is something that could really lead to great things for West Indies cricket.
Yeah, indeed it is. Nkrumah Bonner, we can't ignore him. He's been knocking on the door for the last decade. And to come, it shows that you just have to keep trying, and when your opportunity comes, you must take it. Bonner made 86 at 31 years old. Many people would have written off Nkrumah Bonner not to get in the Test cricketing team, playing for CCC, playing for Jamaica, just was able to get that break. Has this break of 86 in this inning solidified him now going forward, Tino Best and Vinode Mamchan?
Well, for sure. Look, Nkrumah, as I said, yesterday's show, I said I played against Nkrumah for the last decade. It's true. And I always thought he was a very gritty player. Not very pretty and flamboyant like, let's say, a Shea Hope or Shamar Brooks. But he's competent. And the way that he put his head down yesterday and batted magnificently with Kyle Mears just shows you how hungry he is. And that's what you want to see from a West Indies perspective. You want to see fight. And he showed that. He braved the situation with COVID. He went down there, down in Bangladesh. He quarantined like all the players did. And he's there fighting for the brand of West Indies cricket. And anyone that is about fighting for the brand of West Indies cricket, I am done with them. Anybody that didn't want to go for whatever reasons, that is their business. But I am going to work with these crop of players. And moving forward, I am going to make sure that they do well and they continue to compete at a high level. They need backeted. And that is what West Indies cricket needs. They need players that's going to go out there and fight for the brand.
Yeah, you're right. You're very right, Tino Best. I want to say to Johnny, how does this rate among the other Test matches that are going on? We just saw Australia and India. We saw India come back and beat Australia. Do you think that has something to do with perhaps the confidence in this West Indies team for them to say, look, this can be done because other big teams have been beaten recently, and now India are struggling against England in their own backyard? How does this Test match rate among those that have just gone and those that are ongoing, Johnny Barron?
Yeah, I think the Indian win was quite extraordinary at the Gabba, wasn't it? Nobody's won there for 28 years. Quite an incredible record that Australia hold there. For India to beat them in the backyard is quite something. But this is becoming a little bit of a habit. West Indies chased down 200 in magnificent style, of course, at the Ageas Bowl at the beginning of the England tour to set that tour up. And of course, don't forget the 322 they chased down at Headingley in 2017 against the likes of Jimmy Anderson and Stuart Broad. Incredible chase that was on that occasion. So it's becoming habit forming over time. And they have 2 out of the top 5 chases in the history of Test cricket. Incredible stuff from the West Indies.
Yes, indeed. Incredible stuff. I just can't even say enough. It was indeed unbelievable. Vinod, before we go to break and come back and hear from Kyle Mears and some of the other personalities, you look at the fact now that going to Dhaka, what kind of pitch do you think they'll prepare there? Certainly, I recommend that for Bangladesh, they'll probably want to prepare something that's more spinner friendly.
Tino Best said just now that Dhaka normally plays lower and offers more turn. I think it's going to be par for the course. They're just going to come back and look to produce a pitch that is as remote as possible from West Indian talent.
Yes, well said, Vinod. All right, we got to go to break. When we come back, we'll hear from Kyle Mears, we'll hear from Phil Simmons, and we hear from the Bangladesh camp. Right here on tour. Don't you move.
Windies in the land, just put up your hand. It's time to party. Turn it up to the top. It's time to jump up. People, are you ready? Windies in the land, just put up your hand. It's time to.
So welcome back then to the final segment of On Tour. Let's hear now from Kyle Mears, man of the match, for his spectacular innings.
In adversity, when you came into the bat this morning, did you really, truthfully feel that you're going to make it at the end, despite all the negatives that you're facing in the morning?
Thank you very much. First of all, of course, I'm always a positive person. I always believe that in my ability, and I believe that the team can reach places, so it was always positive.
You've got, as a debutant, you've got Nkrumah Bonner giving you that support. And you'd feel, as observers of the game, you'd feel that this is a more depleted side with a lot of new blooding into the team. But you guys seem to have gelled together. As I mentioned, first 4 days was, I'd say I'd give it to the Bangladeshis. But then coming back and fighting and reaching this target must be an incredible feeling for you guys.
Of course, we never give up. We always said in the dressing room to keep fighting regardless of the situation. The skipper, the coach always keep us going. Let's keep fighting, guys, and the guys putting a proper effort, especially the bowlers on a wicket like that. Shannon putting a great effort, and that inspired all the guys to do well.
Well, you're the only player to score a double 100 in a successful 4th innings in a chase in Test cricket. A lot of records broken, a lot of things that must give you a sense of pride.
Yeah, of course, it's a great feeling. First of all, to be playing Test cricket, and then to be scoring 100, then going on to score a double, and then going on to win the game for my team. I mean, it's a special night for me. The highest score I've ever scored in my life. So I'm very happy. I have to be thankful. Give thanks to the coach, the captain, my teammates who bowled at me all through this game. Back home, the coaches, my family, everyone who's been there with me, I just thank them.
Well, wonderful stuff, Kyle Mears. Congratulations. And one man that I must be happy for is the coach, the head coach, Phil Simmons. I saw Otis Gibson, who's in the coaching party of Bangladesh, looking on. He looked quite despondent. It seems to be a habit that when Otis is on the other side of the fence, the West Indies do well. I go back to West Indies, England in the World Cup, T20 World Cup. He was the coach there for England. West Indies managed to win. Today, of course, West Indies managed to win against England. Not this last time in the 2019 series. I'm talking about prior to that, when West Indies won. So it seems that Otis can be sometimes on the wrong end for the West Indies. Having said that, though, let's hear from Phil Simmons, the head coach, who has done a great job to get this team ready.
Phil, you're smiling, usually an emotionless man. Did you move from your seat at all?
Yeah, I had lunch today.
How does this feel, Phil? Sum this up for me.
Bish, it's an incredible feeling. It's just to watch this team come from where we've come from all the negative talk that we've had since we left the Caribbean, to come and have a performance like this. It's unbelievable. I don't have words for it right now.
Phil, first of all, congratulations, mate. What a wonderful feeling this for you and your team. What was the chat at the end of the 4 days play? What did you tell the boys to do when they went into bat on the 5th morning?
Well, it's a case of working out. We have 90 overs. How are we going to section it off? As long as we don't lose wickets early on, I knew the powers of Kyle, how he can hit the ball and everything. So we just have to section it off and make sure we know that by lunch, if we get 70, 80 runs, the next section, if we get close to 100 runs, then in the last 30 overs and we need in 3, 4, even 5 runs are over, they would be tired. The wicket didn't look like it was getting as bad as people were talking about, but it still played well. And that's all we had to do. And the guys went about it in a way that even I sometimes during the day couldn't believe that these were guys making their debut. You know, and I must say something. There's a lot of changes happening. I think we had 2 guys who made their debut in the last test we played and showed the attitude that we want in this team. And then we have 3 guys here now making their debut and showing the attitude that we want. So the attitude and the culture itself is changing, which is what I want to see, and I'm happy to see that.
Thank you so much, Phil. And a quick word, to be balanced, a quick word from Manamu Hack, who would, of course, got a century, but was on the losing end on this occasion.
I think Mads played and Blas and Bonner plays really well, and we didn't grab the chance, and our bowler didn't bowl in the right areas. I think all credits goes to the Bonners and this Mads who got 200.
All right, so great stuff. The next test starts Wednesday night, Caribbean time, 11:30, live coverage here on Flow Sports. Gentlemen, 10 seconds each. Tino, first of all, West Indies versus the Bangladesh team at Dhaka. I don't think you'll want to make any team changes.
Not at all. Just be positive again. And look, cricket is about sessions. Bangladesh played incredible cricket for what, 8 to 10 sessions and lost the last 3. So that's how crazy cricket is, and I wish the West Indies all the best.
Yeah, thank you. Johnny Barran?
Yeah, I think West Indies will be buoyed going to Dhaka, but it's a very different story for Bangladesh at home at Dhaka. They do very well there. They win the majority of tests. They've beaten the likes of England, Australia, and South Africa at that ground. It'll be a much harder test in the second test match.
And finally, Vinod, they are probably likely to be playing again without Shakib Al Hassan. His lack of presence was definitely missing in this test match.
Well, given the packed schedule, Barry, just 2 days and you turn around for the second test match, I don't think he'll be involved. And that will also work in the favor of the West Indies team. We expect to see the West Indies use what they would have, all the positives from this first test, take it into the second. As you said before, they can't lose the series, but there's a possibility they can win it.
Indeed. All right. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen. We're out of time. However, we look forward to see what happens next week when the West Indies play Bangladesh in the second test. If you can't watch it live on Flow Sports, don't worry. We've got highlights and analysis on tour. Goodbye for now.
We are the West Indies. That's right. We are the West Indies. Turn it up to the top. It's time to jump up. People, are you ready?